This is FilmBookCast.
FilmBookCast.
FilmBookCast, the official podcast of FilmBook. Get ready for the latest in film news, TV show news, and theatrical reviews. FilmBook's podcast starts now.
Hello, and welcome to FilmBookCast, the official podcast of FilmBook. I'm Kevin Allen. If you're tuning into FilmBookCast for the first time, welcome, and thank you. If you've listened to before, you may be thinking, hey, they got a new host. And to that I say yes, they did. This is my first time hosting FilmBookCast, and I'm honored to do so. I'll be talking about film and TV news. I'll also review a film. You can find more FilmBookCast podcasts on film-book.com by searching the term FilmBookCast. You can also email us at podcast@film-book.com with FilmBookCast in the subject line. Let's get to the movie news. An official Whitney Houston biopic is on the way. The late singer's estate is tentatively calling the film I Want to Dance with Somebody. Deadline.com reports Grammy-winning music producer Clive Davis is already on board, and there are talks to have the photograph Stella Meggy direct. Word of this official Whitney biopic comes about 5 years after Lifetime aired an unauthorized film about Houston's life with Angela Bassett in the starring role. Whitney Houston was one of the most awarded female music artists of all time before she accidentally drowned in 2012. The head of California's Film Commission says the state is already planning how to resume film and TV production following the industry-wide shutdown brought on by the coronavirus pandemic. Executive Director Colleen Bell tells Variety state officials are looking into having different protocols for studio projects, small films, and post-production. But Bell also says there's no clear timetable yet for ramping up productions once stay-at-home orders are either lifted or relaxed. All movies and TV series shooting in California were shut down last month due to the COVID-19 crisis. Warner Brothers top brass says the studio is staying in the theatrical movie biz. This week, Warner Brothers CEO Ann Sarnoff and Warner Media CEO John Stankey told investors that Warner Brothers is committed to the cinematic experience, as opposed to a watch-where-you-want model. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the statement to investors was to clarify earlier comments made by Stankey, who said the studio was, quote, rethinking our theatrical model, unquote, in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. The global health crisis has caused theater closures, production delays, and a surge in streaming-on-demand viewing in the home. Warner Brothers' Scooby-Doo reboot, Scoob, had its theatrical release scrapped because of the pandemic. The film will be available through video-on-demand services on May 15th. The pandemic also prompted Warner Brothers to push back the release of some of its more highly anticipated films, including The Batman and a prequel film for the hit TV series The Sopranos. South by Southwest and Amazon are teaming up to bring a taste of the 2020 festival to whatever screen you're using. The virtual festival, dubbed Prime Video Presents the South by Southwest 2020 Film Festival Collection, will start streaming for free on Amazon Prime's video service on April 27th. While the screenings will take place exclusively on Prime Video for 10 days, Amazon does not own the exclusive rights to these programs. As such, filmmakers had the choice of opting into the lineup. The streaming films won't be competing for any additional awards, as South by Southwest announced winners back on March 24th. You can find a complete lineup of the Prime Video Presents the South by Southwest 2020 Film Festival Collection on film-book.com. Actor Chris Pine may be adding another iconic role to his resume. Variety reports the Star Trek and Wonder Woman star is in negotiations to headline the reboot of The Saint. Simon Templar, also known as The Saint, is a thief for hire whose adventures take him around the globe. The Saint began as a series of books and short stories in the 1920s. Sir Roger Moore played the Saint in a British TV series back in the 60s, and Val Kilmer took on the role in the 1997 movie. So far, there's no official date for the Saint's next big screen adventure. Alright, now it's movie trailer time. This week, we begin with the new rom-com starring David Spade and Lauren Lapkus.
Missy, what are you doing here?
That text from you was wonderful.
The Wrong Missy, from Netflix and Adam Sandler's Happy Madison production company, follows the misadventures of Spade's character, who meets the quote-unquote girl of his dreams named Missy, then decides to invite her to a tropical company retreat as his plus one, but accidentally texts a different Missy, played by Lapkus. Hijinks ensue. If this premise sounds like one you would have heard somewhere during the mid-90s to mid-2000s, I agree with you. But David Spade has had success playing the straight man before, and Lauren Lapkus looks to be all in on the over-the-top gags in the trailer. So we'll see what happens. Side note, more Lauren Lapkus, please. She's great in everything she does. The Wrong Missy lands on Netflix on May 13th. Next up, don't you hate it when your adorable 8-year-old gets a creepy imaginary friend?
I swear, I saw something standing in the corner, watching me.
I guess you'd hate it even more if that friend turns out to be not so imaginary. That's the question facing Keegan Connor Tracy and Seth Rogerson in Brandon Christensen's Z. Jet Klein, who's appeared in movies such as The Boy and Many Dearest, plays the child who's making his parents afraid of the dark. Z will be released on Shudder May 7th. A young father in West Ireland gets caught between his obligations to his family and his ties to a local drug gang.
Most people know to stay on the right side of the Devers family. I'm what you meet if you ever find yourself on the wrong side.
Calm with Horses is a movie adapted from a short story by Colin Barrett. Barry Keoghan and Cosmo Jarvis star in this crime drama that was screened at the Toronto Film Festival late last year. It will be available on demand on various services like iTunes, Amazon, and Google Play on April 27th. Time for TV news. Okay, what does Pokemon trainer Ash Ketchum have to do with Jerry Seinfeld? Okay, fine, not much. But new episodes of Pokemon and a new comedy special from Seinfeld are coming to Netflix. Deadline.com reports Jerry Seinfeld's first original comedy special since 1998 will launch globally on May 5th. And the first 12 episodes of the 23rd season of Pokemon, now called Pokemon Journeys the series, will premiere exclusively in the US on June 12th. A galaxy far, far away is getting a little bit bigger. A new live-action Star Wars series is being developed for Disney Plus by Russian Doll co-creator Leslie Headland. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Headland will write and act as showrunner. The series will reportedly be a female-centric take on the Star Wars universe. Disney Plus currently has lots of Star Wars projects in the works, including The Mandalorian, a Rogue One prequel series, and a show starring Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Will and Grace say goodbye again. The finale of The Revival, not to be confused with the original series finale back in 2006, aired Thursday. The show returned for what would be a 3-season run after a PSA for then presidential candidate Hillary Clinton went viral back in 2016. I'm not giving away any spoilers about what happened in the finale this time around. The show's creators say this is indeed the end of Will and Grace, which was once a cornerstone of NBC's must-see TV block during the 1990s. Alright, time for some TV trailers. Ryan Murphy's new Netflix series will give viewers a glimpse behind the gilded curtain of Hollywood's golden age.
I want to take the story of Hollywood and give it a rewrite.
Hollywood will follow a group of aspiring actors and filmmakers in post-World War II Tinseltown and will examine what our entertainment landscape might look like if decade-old power dynamics had been dismantled. The limited series premieres on Netflix on May 1st. The co-creator of Rick and Morty is imagining what a family of aliens would do if they had to fit in on Earth.
We may be trapped on this world, on the brink of mass extinction, plagued by a species that destroys the environment, but at least we have each other.
Solar Opposites has a premise that's obviously reminiscent of the Coneheads and Third Rock from the Sun. But as you would expect from someone with Rick and Morty on his resume, this animated show promises to be a lot more bonkers. Solar Opposites hits Hulu on May 8th. Look out, Conan O'Brien, a new redhead is coming to late night.
Elmo has a new talk show called The Natural Late Show with Elmo.
Yep. The beloved Muppet Elmo is suiting up and hosting a new show for HBO's new streaming service, HBO Max. It's called The Not Too Late Show because Elmo's bedtime is 7:30. Obvi. The show will premiere with the launch of HBO Max on May 27th. There's not a ton of new movies coming out these days thanks to the pandemic, but there's still a few here and there. This week's spotlight is on Extraction, starring Chris Hemsworth. Hemsworth stars as a black market mercenary with nothing to lose. What? What's wrong? You want the over-the-top action movie trailer voice. Okay. Hemsworth stars as a black market mercenary with nothing to lose.
You're hoping if you spin the chamber enough times, you're gonna catch a bullet.
But rescuing the kidnapped son of an imprisoned international drug lord may be just the mission to make him realize that life's worth living. Better? Is that enough? Cool. Anyway, the Thor star reunites with Avengers directors Joe and Anthony Russo, who produced this film. Sam Hargrave, who is Chris Evans' stuntman in Avengers, makes his feature film directing debut in an action movie that looks and feels like a stuntman was behind the camera. The action sequences are clearly the movie's strong suit. Anyone that's been craving an A-list blockbuster-type action movie will get that itch scratched. There's one chase scene early on that particularly stands out. Hemsworth stars as Tyler Rake. The character shoots 3 people in the opening seconds of the movie before he utters a single word. The idea, shoot first, talk later, pretty much sums up this film. The movie piles up the bodies, but the plot is pretty thin. The film slowly teases out the emotional trauma that's haunting Rake, but the whole movie is fairly predictable. Moments between Hemsworth and young Indian actor Rudraksh Jaswal have a little bit more emotional weight than other scenes in the movie, and it's easy to see why Jaswal is considered a rising star in India. I think a little more humor would have helped this film. Thor Ragnarok showed us that Hemsworth's punchlines can be as strong as his punches, but viewers don't get much of that here. The supporting cast is steady, but many of the secondary characters don't have much more to do than scowl and shoot. Fans of Stranger Things will enjoy a brief appearance by David Harbour, and I was pleased to see a script that's dripping with this much testosterone gave two of the most important trigger pulls to actress Golshifta Farahani, who plays Rake's ally, Nick Khan. In the end, Extraction is an okay action movie. It won't go down as Hemsworth's best, but if you're looking to enjoy an action movie that harkens back to the super soldiers that Hollywood glorified during the 1980s, fire away. That's all for this episode of FilmBookCast. Thanks for listening. You can find more of my work on film-book.com. Just search for Kevin Allen or FilmBookCast, and you can find me on Twitter at KAllenNYC. If you listen to this podcast on iTunes or another podcast service, please rate and review this episode. If you're listening to this podcast on our YouTube channel, FilmBook Podcast, please like our video, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment in the comment section. It helps other people discover our podcast. Please also consider becoming one of our patrons on Patreon at patreon.com/filmbook. Your support helps us create more engaging content. You'll find our Patreon link below in the description. If you want to tweet about this podcast, use the hashtag FilmBookCast. As this is my first time hosting the show, I'd like to thank FilmBook.com for the opportunity to do this, and thanks to Tyler Saito, who hosted this podcast before I did. And thanks to my family and friends for all their continued love and support. Tune in next week for a new episode of FilmBookCast. Thanks for listening. I'm Kevin Allen. And remember, you're the star of your own movie. Don't be afraid to shine.